Hello everybody, my name is Zojalix, and I'm going to be recording a submission video for this upcoming Awesome Games Done Quick 2025 of the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, any percent solo PC, no cutscenes. So, a couple years ago at SGDQ 2022, Maxi Lobes submitted this run and ran it on console. And I believe his time was around like a 137, 138. Well, with the use of the PC port and this mod that was developed by Sabuline Horizon, we can now run Return of the King on the PC port without any of the FMV cutscenes that you would normally see throughout the run. Thus, then, this saves around, I believe, like 15... Well, it saves 13 minutes off of with cutscenes, and then on top of that, the PC port does save about an additional 10 minutes, about 8-9 minutes. Well, it hasn't like completely calculated it out, but there is a significant margin of time save between the run that we saw at SGDQ 2022, as well as any other version of this speedrun. So I'm Zojalix. I'm the world record holder for every single any percent category except for emulator. But I'm here to show off the run here. I also am using a very unique route that is pretty much unique to me. I use a very different route than what we saw at the SGDQ 2022 video, as well as what most other runners use. So we're going to be showing this off. I created a comparison for 1 hour and 20 minutes. That just is a for my estimate, so you guys can see kind of what this looks like and how not worrisome I am about making the 120 estimate, but also being prepared for it, because a lot can go wrong very, very quickly. So without further ado, timer will start when I select easy. We play in easy mode and we don't have subcategories for the other difficulties because they don't really make any difference. It's going to be the same run, just slower. So without further ado, we're going to get started here once I hit easy in 3, 2, 1, go. So we're going to be starting off immediately in Helm's Deep. What we see in Helm's Deep is we're going to be starting off with an auto-scroller. But that's okay, because this auto-scroller is very short, only about 45 seconds, and we use it to get a lot of EXP, because we want to get as much EXP as we possibly can. So this is Helm's Deep. Helm's Deep is essentially the tutorial level. There are going to be... the game gives us infinite ammo, which is super, super nice, because with the use of the infinite ammo, we then don't have to worry about running out of arrows, and we can then just... Oh, I got hit. That's gonna spell a little bit of disaster, but... So we ended the auto-scroller, and I tried to use an ability, but it actually ended up working out fine. Because we wanted to get up that ladder without getting hit, and we would use Gandalf's special ability for it. I'm going to play this just a little bit safe here. Let the catapult take that guy out, and we're good. Okay, so we take out those guys. We are doing that because I played it a little safe, because there's a glitch that you can get there where you soft lock, and you're kind of stuck standing there for like 30 minutes, and we definitely don't want that to happen within our run. So I am going to we're basically now just running to the end of the level. So this game, then we're going to get to our first upgrades for Gandalf. Gandalf is easily the strongest character, and it is not even close. So Gandalf's abilities are going to be... Gandalf is a wizard, but he pretty much... Obviously. But all of his abilities are really strong, and he also has some like crazy fast attack speed. So we're going to be wanting to use Gandalf as much as possible. There are some levels where we can't use Gandalf at all. But that's okay. So the cutscene's gonna skip, and then the game's gonna tell us about how EXP works, and it's not like it's useful, but also not really overly useful. So we grabbed a few abilities there. We got Or Cure, Wizard's Power, and Light of the Pilgrim. Light of the Pilgrim is a ranged upgrade. Wizard's Power upgrades Gandalf's special ability, which is this bubble ability. And then we got Orc Hewer, which is our main combo that we're going to be using. So there's so much to explain in this run. It's kind of wild. So we are now starting our journey through the first path of through Path of the Wizard. There are 3 paths that you can take throughout the run. There's Path of the Wizard, Path of the King, and Path of the Hobbit. We purposely pick Path of the Wizard to start for a few various reasons. First one is because we want to get as much EXP with Gandalf as possible, as early as possible. The second reason is Path of the Wizard has the biggest RNG level in the run. And so we want to get through that as quickly as possible, so that way we can just get through all of the big bits of RNG super fast. So it's very important that we then don't have to worry about it, because there's about a solid 2 to 3 minutes of fluctuation that can happen in that next level, which we will explain it. I will explain more of it when we get there. Now, in this section, this is Road to Isengard. I purposely killed all of the enemies that were not archers up to this point. And the reason why I did that is because that will then get us to, when we get to this section, we have to kill 75 enemies as quickly as possible. And so by killing these enemies, these 75 enemies, when we get to this section, the more enemies that we kill early on, the more enemies will spawn here. And we want a lot of enemies to spawn here, because that will then allow this section to go by much faster. And this was something that was partially discovered by a runner named Thinks the Clown. Huge shoutouts to him. He is an incredible runner of this video game. I think he's in third or fourth place on PC, so he's a really, really good runner. And then it was further optimized by another runner named Rubeetle. Rubeetle is also another fantastic runner of the game. She has found a lot of strats that are very current, which is always really nice to get as many updated strats as possible. So in this 75 section, enemies are spawning at 2 points. I hang out here on the right side just because this is where the enemies tend to spawn the most in bulk. And then obviously we can get some help from the Ents here. They can do a lot to take out as many enemies as possible. So we get a lot of enemies taken out, and then the game lets us move on. As we move on here, we are going to be heading over to the dam. But before... Oh boy. Okay, we're fine. Everything's fine. But the dam, there's going to be a specific style of manipulation that we are going to be doing at the dam. And it really is something that you can honestly really easily do at home. So at the very end of this level, we have to break a dam. And you break the dam by shooting it, and there is an Ent, a large tree person, that is going to be destroying the dam. And while in most casual playthroughs, the Ent will be beset upon by archers. And each time the Ent gets shot by an archer, then he will get set on fire, causing you to have to then wait for him to stop burning before he destroys the dam. Well, for some reason in this game, if you don't destroy any of those towers that we just passed by, if you don't destroy any of them, the archers here just don't spawn. So now the Ent just kind of has free range to do what he wants. And if we hold this very, very specific angle, which this Berserker has completely blocked us off from doing, so that is a huge bummer. But you can actually stand right here around this area, and you can just hold an angle at the dam here, and you can just shoot it, and you don't have to worry about taking out the Berserker. But we aggroed the Berserker enough that he positioned himself where we couldn't hold that angle, so we don't get to do it there, but that's okay. And we just sit here and we blast our magic at the dam, we destroy it, and the level ends. So, if you're wondering why there's a bunch of like weird fluctuation, but for the end of the levels that is because at the end of every single level there would be an FMV cutscene at the end of most levels, but this game was made in 2003, I think. And so with this level being made in 2003, there are cutscenes that are supposed to be unskippable when you are playing in a new game. But with the mod that was made, it skips the cutscenes, which is great because it saves a lot of time. But the game kind of freaks out a little bit, and it'll just kind of very abruptly go to a black screen, so it kind of makes things go a little bit weird. Hi, Duck Alex. I should have mentioned this before the run, but I'm putting a hold on those channel rewards because I'm currently recording a GDQ submission video. But yeah, so I'm also currently recording this while live. So yeah. Anyways, so this is Minas Tirith, Top of the Wall. This is our first auto-scroller, our second auto-scroller to run. This one's about 3.5-ish minutes. We spend it running around kicking down ladders. The interesting part about this is the ladders all will spawn in a set pattern. So we can then just wait for the ladders to spawn, and then we can knock them over. You can see up in the top right corner the map of the wall, as well as there is this Urukai reinforcement meter. If that reinforcement meter fills up, then we will fail the level. But if that reinforcement meter does not fill up, then we're fine. And every time we kill enemies, the meter will drain partially. So it's very important that we are going through and killing enemies as quickly as possible. And especially during this point in time where we're not penalized for taking time to kill enemies, we can just take the time, kill enemies, get more. We can also then get more EXP, and that then allows us to get the EXP that we want. Another interesting thing is you'll notice down on the right side of my health there is this little meter that fills up as I do more and more damage. This meter is known as the perfect mode meter, or just an overall damage meter. So basically how this game works is that meter will fill up when I do more damage without getting hit. And so the more damage I do, the more that meter fills up. The more that meter is full, then the more EXP I will get per kill. And on top of that, if that meter fills up completely, it will then start to glow, and you'll see my this sort of like light blue fog coming from me. You saw it a little bit earlier. But that will then be perfect mode, which is where my melee damage will be increased, and I will be also gaining the maximum amount of EXP per kill. So that helps to get a lot of EXP and get the level ups that we need super quickly. So now our auto-scroller is over, and we have to destroy these siege towers that are going to be coming up in order to get us to the end of the level. Now, these siege tower positions that I'm going to be using were found by another runner named PJ Arts of Darkness. This is a really, really nice way to take out these siege towers without having to worry about enemies. Because we can just throw the siege tower, we can just throw our magic out, 4 charge shots will do the trick, and the siege towers get destroyed, and then we can progress on. Also, that's Gandalf's special ability, that bubble. Super, super nice. It's an invulnerability damage shield. We're going to take this guy out, knock this ladder over, and then I position myself about here. And another set of 4 shots, and it's over. Now, I'm just going to run along the side here and set myself up again for the next tower to spawn. I'm kind of waiting this one out just strictly because I don't want to run out of ammo. And then we can run all the way over here, trigger this fourth one that will purposely land on the wall. It will drain the reinforcement meter, and then 4 quick shots will take it out. So, yeah, so we have range attacks. There are 2 different types of range attacks that we can do. There is a quick shot, and there is a charge shot. Charge shot does more damage, will insta-kill every single enemy except the captain, but it takes a little bit of time to charge itself up. And then there is the quick shot, which was just a quick boom, 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 boom shot. You fire it off, well, quickly, and then, but it doesn't do as much damage. So it requires multiple quick shots to take down an enemy. And, oh, there are guys spawning right there. That's really weird. So we can then take these enemies out quickly. And you kind of have to, like, figure out when is the right time to use a charge shot and which enemy and for which character a charge shot is going to be more effective than not. But that's going to be the end of Minas Tirith, top of the wall. We just run over here to the gate. The gate's going to get destroyed. Gandalf is going to not care about his friends at all, and they're just going to make a complete arrow around him, and he's going to stand there very dramatically with his shield while the camera pans away, all epic-like. So in this level up section, in this upgrade section, we are going to be getting our next set of upgrades, which is only going to be Light of the Forges. Light of the Forges is our next ranged upgrade. That just sets us up to where our attacks will be doing fire damage. And with that fire damage, then, we will then be able to set enemies on fire and have them take a little bit of damage over time. And now this is the level where all runs go to die. This is a level that I had alluded to previously. This is Minas Tirith Courtyard. So, Courtyard, we have to save all of these people. There are 200 villagers that we are going to be saving. And with that comes a whole lot of RNG. Because their spawn rates work really, really weird. So, basically, there can only be a certain amount that spawn at one time. So, how did I grab a spear from way over there? But, okay. Yeah, I'm going to run it over here. This is a bit of an awkward position. So, the longer a villager takes to get to the end gate, the more time in between spawns that there will be. And the more time that it takes for the less amount of time that it takes for them to get there, A, the faster we get through, and B, the higher chance of another villager spawning. But obviously, there are as you can see, there are 1,000 different factors for what can change how the speed works for the villagers. Part of that can be the rate of the enemies on the field, their spawns, as well as there are these catapults that will be progressively coming down and hitting the villagers. And so we want to limit as many of these as possible. And thankfully, we have at least enough understanding of the enemy spawns to be able to kind of limit that as much as we can, given in a situation where enemies are completely random. But every 20 villagers that we save, we will be getting a completely different set of enemy waves, and then there will progressively be another a shield guy that will just randomly come from the front gate in different variances. So here we hit the 80, so now we can just take out a good chunk of enemies here and then use our ranged attacks to kind of do a little bit of cleanup and make sure that we don't deal with too many enemies coming in. But this is a level where all runs go to die because there can just be so much variance for what can happen in your run that you're going to have absolutely no idea what you're doing. That you could be doing everything right and you could still be losing like 2 minutes. And now we get our first captain. Captains are enemies that are really, really annoying. They have more health, they do a lot more damage, and they have armor. And the armor on a captain basically means you have to break it with a fierce attack before you can actually deal damage to it. And, see, like here, these two guys both died, so that's unfortunate timing there. But another rough part, like the biggest annoying part about captains is because of their armor, they take such a long time to kill. And so, if I can, I actually want to try and avoid fighting them if possible, because of how much time they do take. So, there will be times where I could be doing a run, and the captains will just be over doing their own thing. And they won't even be paying attention to my villagers, which in an ideal world, that is exactly what we would want, because then I can just focus on some of these other enemies, and the captains. See, like here, the captain's not even paying attention to anything of what's going on. And I'm you kind of have to divert your attention a little bit sometimes, because the captain could just decide randomly that it wants to get involved. So I'm actually going to run back here just to kind of check up on it again. See, it's gone, which means it's up here, and that's like the worst possible scenario. But that's fine, because we can stun lock it with our Ore Cure. So that's another thing too. There's a lot that goes on in this run. There's two main types of melee attacks that we use in the run. There are speed attacks and there are fierce attacks. A speed attack does fast, and it does a good chunk of damage against enemies that are not shielded or armored. And so we will be using a speed attack a lot. A fierce attack is a slower attack, but it does a little bit more damage, as well as will break enemy shields or the enemy armor. And our main combo that we use is called Ore Cure, and that is two speed attacks and then a fierce attack. And normally I would say what button inputs those are, but this is a PC game, which means you can rebind them however the heck you want. But either way, Ore Cure is really nice because it does a good chunk of damage, and it helps you to get into perfect mode faster. And like I said, with perfect mode, then you do the most amount of melee damage, and you get the most amount of EXP. So that guy is going to prevent me from hitting this troll efficiently, but we got him. So, also, in some levels, there will be spears that you can pick up and use. Spears are extraordinarily strong. In fact, they one-shot anything. The only thing that they will not technically one-shot is a captain, and that's because the first spear takes out its armor. But then the second spear will immediately bring it down and eliminate it. And so, the more enemies, but the hard part is, most of the time when you have spears, is you are very limited in your way that you can use spears. So we want to use spears efficiently, especially like these trolls that take so long to kill. As long as we can just chuck a spear at it, the enemy dies, and then we don't have anything to worry about. And as you can see, once the trolls started appearing in this level, everything became super chaotic. And this is the section of the level that confuses us the most, because spawn rates are completely thrown out the window, and everything is just complete chaos. Which then pretty much means like you get that Halo mission objective of goal survive. That's what this section is. A lot of newer runners will struggle with this section of the level, which is another kind of rough part, because if we were to die, there is no checkpoint system. If you die during this level, you restart the entire level, which is why I set a 125 estimate. Or a 120 estimate, because as consistent as you can be in this level, I have had multiple runs where I have died at this point. So thankfully, we saved all 200, we're good, we don't have to worry about it anymore, we're free. And that will finish up Path of the Wizard for this point in time. which is great because overall that was not terrible. I definitely just bought an extra upgrade, but now we're going to be splitting and we're going to be going over to Path of the King. This is where actually my routing will be differing from all of the other runners. All of the other runners will normally go from here to Path of the Hobbit, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we get deeper into Path of the King, or as we get into Path of the Hobbit, why runners will divert and go that way. Or actually even do a slightly different version of the route that, or even do a completely different route altogether. I am going to Path of the King first, because Path of the King has a couple interesting strategies, and a couple moments where the run will be a little bit, will actually be like significantly more difficult. I popped that special ability way too early, but that's fine. So for this fight, we're just going to be here. What? Okay, I didn't think that damaging part would have been that way, but that's fine. So in Path of the King, we follow Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. And for Path of the King, Legolas is easily the best character between the three. His ranged attacks are so strong, and his attack speeds are also super strong. And up until level 10, Aragorn actually has incredibly weak melee attacks. So you actually don't really even want to use him that much. So we actually won't be playing as Aragorn at all throughout the run, which a little bit of a bummer, but at the same time, he's not that good of a character. So if you really want to see like an interesting run with an Aragorn type character, I highly recommend checking out the Ranger % category extension. It's a great, super fantastic run. About the same length as any %, but you are limited to playing every single level with either Aragorn or Faramir. It's actually a super fun run. I do really enjoy it. But we also, now, in Paths of the Dead, you've been seeing me do a lot of backwards hopping through the fog. When you are in the fog, the game limits you to being stuck walking. But one of the things that you can do is if you turn around and backwards hop, that's actually significantly faster than doing the walking animation. So you can backwards hop through the fog, and you can get through it significantly faster. Okay, oh, what happened there? Okay, well, we're in perfect mode now, so we're just gonna melee these guys until we can get a little bit more control. Okay, there we go. Fight got a little weird, but everything's fine. Here's a Ghost Captain. Ghost Captains do not have any armor, and so they will die by 2 charge shots and a quick shot.
Have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of... We are close now!
Now we're going to run up here, push this statue. So I'll probably talk about it a lot when we get closer into Blackgate. Actually, I think I will talk about it more when we get to Blackgate. So Path of the King is easily my favorite part of the run. There are, in my opinion, the levels are a lot more interesting. They have some of the cooler, they actually have tricks in them. And some of the cooler moments throughout the run happen during Path of the King. So it's definitely a really, really cool run. And Path of the King, easily my favorite section of the run. And before, I used to do my route where I would be doing Path of the King as a last path. But it kind of made it harder for me to reset sometimes because I could reward myself by getting later in the run. So now we have this 35 ghost forced fight. This fight, we are going to be positioning ourselves right here, and we then just shoot these enemies. But this is where some RNG can come into play, because we actually need an arrow drop to happen. So we need our arrows to show up and give us an if we don't get any more arrows, then we can be in danger of, well, being in the position we are in now, where we are out of arrows, and now we have to fight our enemies using melee. But thankfully, we got a quick arrow drop there, and now, as long as the ghosts cooperate, we can just shoot our way through to the end of the fight. Mute one more enemy, he's dead, we didn't get hit, and now we are outie! Like a belly button.
I understand why men fear this place. This way! Anyway would be fine about now.
So, yeah, that is Paths of the Dead. Get another little awkward blink there. Get Legolas's Mirkwood arrows, and then we can move on now to our next level, King of the Dead. King of the Dead is going to be a moment where I'm actually going to be doing some serious time, because there is going to be I'm going to be trying to take out the King of the Dead in 3 phases. Or 3 cycles. And it can be really, really difficult. I won't be able to explain it too much. This is where if I had a co-commentator, I would have them kind of explain most of it. But you will be able, hopefully the strats kind of speak for themselves here. Okay, so that phase right there, that is the hardest phase in the entire fight. So for that phase to go that well is amazing. What you have to do for that first phase is do 3 charge shots, and then, well, do 4 charge shots before he goes down, and then stab him. And then, so that's kind of the biggest area where I needed to focus, but the strat is still not over yet. Okay, so I have to be a little careful. I want him to get close so I can do the same thing and take him out. Just like that. So for each phases after, we will do 1 charge shot, 3 quick shots, and then a charge shot. This was discovered by, he never actually ran the game, but he did develop this strat. Their user is Darnock. Oh crap, I missed that first shot. That is not good. So I'm just going to get a couple parries here and do that. That first shot I missed was odd. I don't think I've done that in a while. And then, but his version of the strat was really, really difficult. I kind of went and re-examined his strategy and made this significantly more consistent. And I think it actually ended up being slightly faster, because once we're in the win phase... Oh no! I missed a shot! Ah! It's fine. So, I messed up. I got a little antsy and was a little lost in the commentary sauce. And then I just shoot him. I'm gonna force him to spawn up close. And do that. But normally then you would kill him there. So you would kill him in the win phase. But since I messed it up, I had to do 1 more minion phase.
We must get out of here.
So that's a little unfortunate, but that's okay. I've definitely... You don't... That strat is really nice, but it's definitely not necessary for a really, really good run. And you still kind of got the gist of what we were doing, which is good. So now for the second half of the King of the Dead level, we have to do what's called Falling Rocks. Falling Rocks is essentially you're doing Paths of the Dead backwards but abridged. They do cut out a good chunk of it, so that way you're not doing the entire level backwards. But we actually have to go fast, because if we spend too much time standing around, these rocks are going to come in, they're going to kill us, and then we have to restart the Falling Rock section over again. But in between each little section, the speed will kind of decrease where you don't have to keep like running, but you will get zoned off and have to do a fight. This first fight is the easiest, because you're just fighting a bunch of these guys and some archers. Just some of like the regular foot soldiers here. But some of these guys did not want to like get close and fight, but that's okay. And then the second fight is one of the more chaotic ones, but we'll kind of talk about it because you're in a more like tight spaced, and you have to take out the enemies there. And then the third fight, that one will speak for itself in terms of the sheer levels of chaos. So what we want to do, okay, we got perfect mode, which is huge because there will be captains that will spawn. And if we can take out the captains while we are in perfect mode, or at least take out one of the captains while we're in perfect mode, the second one becomes significantly less of a hassle. Okay, the captain pushed me out of my downstab. I don't need that health. Overall, that fight actually went really well. I got the perfect mode where it mattered the most. This is another level that can be a little difficult for newer runners because of just the chaos of some of these fights, especially this final fight here, because you'll see it right here, but yeah, here they come. Yeah, that's all the enemies we have to defeat, and they do not care. Like, the enemies will just rush you and prevent you from trying to do anything. And on top of that, there are archers that try to shoot you constantly. And I need to take that guy out. And there is a captain that has just been kind of doing his own thing that I want to get rid of. Wow, that's still another captain. Okay. Now I really need my party members not to get in my way here. Okay, the Gimli is like kind of being weird about it, but it's not. Aragorn, please! We're fine. So that's another kind of obnoxious part about these fights, is the party members are typically more hurtful than helpful. Aragorn and Gimli will do a great job at knocking enemies away, but they won't do a great job at like actually killing enemies. But that finishes up King of the Dead, and now we move on to Southern Gate. Southern Gate is really pretty straightforward level. We just have to get through the gate. Nothing too much you got to worry about.
To join the great battle of our time. We must get beyond this outer gate. This is a grim scene.
So we're just gonna run through the gate, and oh my goodness, there's a troll. That's spooky. We're gonna go chuck this spear at the troll, get rid of him, and get. And this is where Southern Gate can be weird. So Southern Gate can be really chaotic because obviously enemies will just jump right in and they will swarm you all over the place. And you don't want to spend a lot of time having to fight enemies. Sometimes you might have to, but that's just kind of the nature of the level. Thankfully, we got pretty lucky and we didn't get completely swamped. There's a group here that's in, okay, he booped me. That little booper. Oh, okay. See, and this is the hard part, too, is enemies will come off screen, and then they will just try and whack you. So you can either parry them, take the hit, or try and avoid them. My health is not in the best spot right now. I would actually kind of love it if one of these guys... That was just pure unlucky timing. Okay, cool. That guy dropped a health, which is really good. And now we just need to kill this troll. And I really need Aragorn to do his job here. That's fine. Okay, Aragorn actually didn't need to do anything because the orcs didn't do anything, which is very rare, actually. Most of the time, the orcs will, like, get all up in your business and not let you do anything. But that time they just were like, nah, we're good. And this is where Aragorn is not doing his job properly. But now we have the gate here. Thankfully, things aren't too crazy. I'm just gonna knock those guys out. Fine. Nice, very convenient health drop. Another very convenient health drop.
Someone comes. They're trying to block us.
Drop this burning oil on them, and then we are getting the heck out of Dodge. And that's the Southern Gate. Overall, that actually was a really pretty decent level. Had a few awkward moments in there, but to get like Southern Gate is one of those levels that you're just kind of like, as long as you don't die, you can't really complain too much. And now we are into Pelennor Fields. Pelennor Fields, this is the last, another major RNG level in the run. Mainly because of this section here. Because we have to take out 60 enemies before we can advance. And the game here will introduce us to Easterlings. Easterlings are very obnoxious. I don't want this captain all up in my business, but he is going to choose to be. I want him gone. I'm going to kill him. And the fastest way to take out enemies with Legolas is just sitting here and spamming our charge shots from range. Because as you can see, the enemies die uber fast. But the tough part about doing this is you have limited ammo. Every character only has 30 shots that they can use. And so you kind of have to hope and pray that the game loves you enough to give you arrow drops. And I've actually been getting really, really good drops. Couple missed shots here and there, but that's kind of normal. Okay. Just gotta take out a few more enemies. And the level will progress. Oh, okay. My split didn't go. Oh, because my global hockey's turned off. But that was a gold, so that's nice. So now we're gonna run up here, and we gotta take out these Mumakil. We can actually shoot this guy completely off camera. And now we're going to go and take out this other Mumakil, and then we're going to go and take out the Witch King. The Witch King, for newer runners, again, can be very difficult to understand how the fight works. But the fight is actually really, I don't want to say self-explanatory, because it did take a little while for me to kind of figure out how the fight worked. But basically, the Witch King is going to be trying to kill Merry and Eowyn here. And what happens is the Witch King is going to swoop down and attack Mary and Eowyn. And if he gets an attack off while he is, like, while he's swooping, then he will go away. But if we wait for him to stop swooping and do 4 charge attacks, then we take him out in a very easy 1 cycle. It is something that normally, if you're a newer runner, you might not understand it, but I think it was back in like 2019, 2020, I figured it out and made a tutorial for it. So now it is actually very difficult as a runner to miss it.
You look upon a woman. I don't have an axe big enough for this one. Behold, the dead have come to save the living.
And now we have 1 more level left in the Path of the King. This level is Black Gate. This level also combines Path of the King and Path of the Wizard. So in order to unlock the Black Gate, you have to do both. You have to do all of the Path of the Wizard and go all the way up to Pelennor Fields and complete Pelennor Fields. We're going to say goodbye to Legolas, and we're going to get the Black Gate. And we're going to pick Gandalf here, because Gandalf, like we talked about before, is a super, super strong character. And we obviously want the strongest character going into this. So, we are now going to be fighting the Mouth of Sauron. The Mouth of Sauron is a absolute, ridiculously funny fight, because we are going to just do this to him to take him out. He is completely stun locked.
You shall speak for Sauron no more.
And he's taken out. Nice little 35-second fight. And that includes the cutscene time. So in Return of the... So now we're going to have a chaotic fight. There's going to be 6 captains we have to take out. After 3 captains, more enemies will just kind of consistently spawn, and the level will just get crazy, like significantly more chaotic. It will feel like an auto-scroller. So in this game, if you're interested in running this game, I just want you to know that you do not have to do the route that I am doing. In fact, for newer runners, I would not recommend this route. The way that most runners actually run this game is they will go and after Helm's Deep do the first 2 levels in Path of the Hobbit and then pivot to Path of the Wizard. And that was a route that wasn't actually done for a while. It was actually but a runner named 7swagmuffin7 started doing that route. And then he was kind of the pioneer of that because he was the first one to do Courtyard earlier. But then and that route went for a multitude of years. And that route went for a while because a lot of runners struggled with the Shelob Fight, the spider fight that we will be getting to, which I'll explain a lot of as we get closer to it. And because that fight was such a heavy reset point, a lot of runners were doing Shelob first and then pivoting to Path of the Wizard. I stopped doing it where I pivoted. I actually, for a while, would do Helm's Deep, go all the way through Path of the Wizard, then go all the way through Path of the Hobbit. And actually, only recently did I start choosing to do Path of the King first. And the reason why I made that decision is Path of the Hobbit, while it is execution-wise a little bit more difficult, the only real sort of RNG that you have is the first level in it, which is Escape from Osgiliath. The rest of the level, the rest of the path is just a lot more execution-based. And we'll kind of see that happen a lot more. You'll just kind of see how it all functions as we get deeper into Path of the Hobbit. But a lot of Path of the Wizard and Path of the King have a lot more RNG aspects in it than in Path of the Hobbit. And I really wanted to start creating a route that would get rid of the RNG parts much earlier in the run. And so, by pivoting this way, I can get Black Gate done significantly sooner, like before the hour mark, Whereas before Black Gate, we actually used to make it the penultimate level in the run. There are orcs fighting down there. I don't know if it'll actually let me kill them. Okay, perfect. And now we don't make it the penultimate level in the run, and we can get rid of this kind of a pretty heavy RNG level and just absolute chaos level done much, much sooner. And I would much rather get the more chaotic and less in your control levels done sooner than levels that are more in my control but are just more difficult. Lock that, and with perfect mode timing being as good as that was, one combo takes out that captain. And now that's 3, so now we're just going to keep killing enemies, waiting for it to flip. It's kind of funny to just see like how this run progresses. Like, seeing how different so many runners can do this. Another really cool thing about this game is there are so many different ways that you can run this game. Our category extension board is off the charts. I said that in like the weirdest way possible, but basically what I mean by that is before we used to only have any percent all levels as categories. That's actually all we had, and then we had solo and we had co-op. Now, we have any percent, all levels, no upgrades, and we also then have solo and co-op versions of them, but our category extensions board has highlighted to the fact that we can basically run this game pretty much, like, as long as you set up the file properly, you can run the game almost however you want. You want to do a run where you play as Merry and Pippin only? We have that. It's called Second Breakfast, and it is a phenomenal category. We have the category where you can play as just Rangers. Ranger percent. Boom. Do that. It's another fantastic category. You want to play as Frodo? Cool. I don't know why you would want to do that, because Frodo is objectively the worst character. But hey, we have that available for you as well. There are almost an endless amount of ways that we can speedrun this video game, and it is super cool. We even have a 17-hour category if you want to do that. So we're going to now fight the ring race. This is where the fire damage comes in absolutely necessary, because we just have the fire damage, we spam our magic, and they're dead. And that ends the Black Gate.
Time to end this evil that marshals before us.
And now that Black Gate is over, we are now going to be saying goodbye to Gandalf here. And we are going to be pivoting to Path of the Hobbit. Path of the Hobbit, we will be starting off Escape from Osgiliath, which actually takes place at the end of the Two Towers, so don't play this game trying to understand the lore. So, Path of the Hobbit, the Hobbits are very difficult execution-wise, only because all the Hobbits, they are significantly squishier than the other characters are. So they will die a lot faster. And so you have to have, this is why they're a lot more difficult execution-wise than the other paths. Because if you are not executing your combat very well, then it is very easy for you to be taken down. Another important thing to notice is as we were going through the run, our characters were approaching different levels. Well, when we start Path of the Hobbit, we're back to a level 1 Sam. And so with that, we then are now focusing on dealing with Sam back at level 1. I don't have a lot of abilities. And one of the most key abilities for the Shelob Fight later on is that Ore Cure ability. So we have to make sure that we get Sam to level 2 either by the end of this level or before we hit the Shelob Fight at the end of Shelob's Lair. Now, every single runner, I feel like, does their EXP routing differently. If you are on console, you don't want to do the EXP routing that I do, but because it's been ingrained into my memory, I do it the same way even on console, even though it's not smart. But when you are on PC, doing this routing is fine. Because one of the big differences between PC and console is at the very end of each level, you see me kind of skip through this results screen. On console, you can't skip through that. You have to sit there and watch it shuffle and go and go and go. And it takes about 30 seconds per level. But if you are on PC, you can skip through it. It's another big difference between the two versions of the game. So it's very important. Okay, that was a parry and not just a hit, but that's okay. I didn't get hit, and that's fine. So it's important that as you are going through the run, that you take care that you are able to level up optimally and in the right spots. And one of the big reasons in console is when you're not only is it the main reason isn't that you can't skip through it, and so the more kills you take takes more time. The big thing is on levels that you level up on, you have to wait when you hit the purchase screen. You have to wait for the game to flash that you've leveled up. But if you're on PC, you can skip through that. So you actually want to plan your level ups very specifically. And when it's another thing I haven't gotten around to explaining is when you purchase certain upgrades, there's a way that you can purchase it called Fellowship, which allows you to buy it for the entire, every single party member. It's more expensive, but you get it for every single party member. And so, if you hit level 2 when you're in the middle of a level, you'll get your Fellowship upgrade regardless if you've finished a level or not. And so on console, if you hit that level 2 in the middle of Shelob's Lair, you get Ore Cure where you need it, and you're good. But on PC, you can skip it, doesn't matter too much. So I just get a few little bits of EXP here, let the end level EXP tally that it gives me based on my rating to push me over the edge, and we're good to go. And I haven't even gotten to the point of explaining this level, but obviously none of the gimmicks of this level really matter in a speedrunning sense. Oh my gosh, that was that was almost perfect RNG through that section. I don't think I've ever seen RNG that good in a no cutscenes run. That was incredible.
We have led you out. Smeagol looks after Master.
And that finishes Escape from Osgiliath.
Always hope endures.
And now we go into Shelob's Lair. For newer runners, this level is the bane of their existence. So, Shelob's Lair, we're going to be starting off with a little maze. Thankfully, when you're a speedrunner, mazes are completely and totally irrelevant, because we know the exact path to get through the maze as quickly as possible. Excuse me. And then we have these little mini spiders. These mini spiders are the bane of every runner's existence. And I'm not talking about the little tiny spider pits. Those are whatever. It's these other spiders that will spawn and try and kill you. So in this level, there's another pretty unique difference between PC and console, which is where I do recommend that PC runners will swap to doing Path of the Hobbit later. So those little mini spider pits, there's actually on PC, for some reason, you actually don't take damage if you are in them on single player. On co-op, you do. On single player, you don't. But there is also in this so there's a trick if you can skip the torches and just hop through them, making it completely irrelevant. On console, that will delete your health so fast. And so it's very important that you go through and do all the things that you need to do to get... Oh my gosh, I'm getting absolutely bullied. To get through the levels quickly. And I don't even remember where my train of thought was on that whole section, but it's fine. So these are spider skips, and my angle was a little awkward there, but that's perfectly okay. Let's do one jump there. Ooh, this is not good luck. Okay. I'm coming into this Shelob fight with a little low health, but I think I should be okay. So now we can come up into here, and now we're going to be fighting Shelob. So, Shelob, this fight is the biggest thing that a lot of runners have issues with, because Shelob is not an easy fight if you don't really know what you're doing. But we're going to be opening it up by beating her up with 2 ore cures. I'm going to cancel out of my second ore cure by jumping out of it, because you can cancel out of some combos with a jump back animation. And so by doing that, we can then do a lot of damage to her. She's going to run up here. We throw a dagger at her that forces her down. Start each phase with a ore cure. Oh, and this is where this fight goes bad, because sometimes the enemy targeting does not want to go well, and Sam will choose to hit the small spiders. So in most casual playthroughs, you will actually be spending your time fighting all of the other spiders before you actually get Shelob down. But in a speedrun, that's slow. So you can just run over and throw a dagger at her and she comes down. I'm going to kill this spider and pray for a health drop. Just for a little bit of extra, like, safety room, but I'm not getting that safety room. So, we're going to be playing this at extraordinarily lower health than I normally would like. Whack her there, she's going to pivot around, beat her up there. That ends that phase. This spider is being annoying. Okay. I'm going to kind of focus up just because I am a little nervous that I might die. Oh, that's not good. Okay, we're fine. That fight went alright.
I'm not done! Mr. Frodo! It's Sam, wake up! Not asleep. Dead.
Looks like old Shelob been having some fun.
So, that's Shelob's lair. And now we have 2 more levels left. We have Cirith Ungol, and then we have the Crack of Doom. Cirith Ungol is one of the best, is probably my favorite level in Path of the Hobbit. We have to take out 80 enemies in order to progress. And obviously, being a squishy hobbit and super clunky, we don't just want to run around and fight them all the time. We have to take very particular pathing in order to make sure that we can take out a lot of enemies quickly by doing minimal effort. So there are a few enemies that we will actually be going out of our way to fight. But we're going to try and kind of limit that, because the more enemies that we take time to fight, the more time it then takes for us to get through the level. Like, this is a little awkward. This captain here can be a little obnoxious, but we're actually sitting okay. I don't think I've ever seen the captain come out that far. And there is some minor RNG with how the enemies will be behaving, so we have to kind of be a little careful with it. I'm gonna dump that little fire pit to get a lot of kills. Take out that guy. There's that one shield dude that's over there. That is... Oh gosh, enemies are pathing really weird. I don't even know if I'm going to kill any with that. I did not. Okay. That's fine. Use these spears to take out a lot of enemies. I'm going to pivot over here to dump out this hot oil. That takes out a multitude of enemies, plus it gets me into perfect mode against this guy. You can spear this guy. And so, Hobbits, their special ability, because this is the only time it's useful, is we can cloak, get behind an enemy, and stab them, and take out one-shot any enemy except for, like, a big boss. So you can't one-shot Shelob, and you can't one-shot the boss at the end of this level. That, push him into the fire, or not. I don't know exactly what's happening. Okay, everybody's there is dead, so that's actually really good. And we're at 63, which is exactly the number we want to be at.
Mr. Frodo, I haven't forgot you.
And now from here, we want to just start making our way to the end of this section of the level. Okay, that's never happened before. Where all those enemies have clumped up onto the gate there. I've never seen... Dude. That orc was animation canceling on me, and I have seen that before, but that's not very common. This is... Oof. I'm a little nervous right now. Okay. You know, I talked about this level not being very RNG heavy, and then I got, like, pretty not great RNG for a lot of moments. Okay, so I just need to kill one enemy here, and that ends this section.
We're getting clobbered! Pull out! Into the tower, boys!
I can't cut through all of them. Maybe I can distract them with this.
Then we just run! And we're through there.
Hey, you scumbag! Hands off the shiny shirt! That's mine!
Let him go.
And now,
We'll allow you orcs.
we will fight Gorbag here. Gorbag, we have to hit him with 2 spears, and then we stab him. And his fight, you can 3-cycle him, but it is actually quite difficult to do, because you have to get 3 stabs on every phase. And once his health bar disappears, you do not actually do damage on the stab. And it's, for some reason, always on that 3rd phase, he gets a hit off. And I'm just going to do this, and he's dead, and now we're going to go stand on Frodo. But that's Kidithungle, the penultimate level in the run. And also, we are on an incredible pace right now.
I know the way out of here.
Like, unironically, I'm not just, like,
Thank you, Sam.
compare against PB, which is funny, because we were in behind, but I've got a lot of time save in the last level. Marathon, put that back there so I'm not thinking about my pace, even though I can see my best split times. But, really random fact, this is the only level we can play as Frodo in. So, we're going to be fighting Gollum as our final boss of the run. So, what's going to be happening is we're actually going to be trying to manipulate Gollum to do something specific. But we have to get through the first few phases, the first 2 phases, before we can manipulate him. And the first 2 phases typically are where everything gets decided. We have to get Gollum to the edge, speed attack him to make him kind of like stagger back and be like, ah! And then we have to hit him with a fierce attack, stab him, and then he falls. The first 2 phases, we cannot manipulate him. But every phase after, we can. And that is exactly the RNG that we need, because he can do that, he goes down. So at the end of at the beginning of each phase, we're going to start off by running over here. This manipulates Gollum to spawn on the opposite side of the arena. Once he growls, we run over here. He spawns. We're going to hit him once. He's going to rush over to us, and that manipulates him to do his lunge attack. Once we get him teetering on the edge, we hit him. Now, our wonderful friend Hobbit here, Samwise Gamgee, can very much mess up the manipulation.
Your time is at an end.
And this is something that is not good at all if it happens. Because if Sam hits him at any point, then Sam can just ruin everything. And we obviously don't want Sam to do that. Hey, Spyron. But again, the nice part is we only have to do this manipulation 2 more times. And we just need to hope and pray that our good... Uh-oh. See, this is This is where it happens. Oh, okay. Nope. Back up. Jump back. Perfect. Okay. The manip didn't go very well there, but it was good enough. Alright, so now we have the last phase. Time will be once the cutscene ends, and we get the last hit. Once the end cutscene starts, and we get the last hit on the Gollum. He jumps. Perfect. We hit him. And time. And that is not only the run, that's also a world record. And a GDQ submission. There's a mug of beer inside this toque. Yes, that not only is Return of the King, any percent no cutscenes, but that is also a new personal best. And a new world record by 27 seconds. And a new minute barrier broken, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, that was the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, any percent PC, no cutscenes, GDQ submission, as well as a brand new world record. So that is really heckin' cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the run. I will be leaving timestamps in the description below. I should have talked about that in my intro, but I talked about it at the end. Where there will be timestamps in the description below talking about all of the cool moments throughout the run. So the Gorbag fight, King of the Dead, fog hopping, the Shelob fight, all kind of like the moments to be looking out for. And I hope you consider this for this upcoming AGDQ 2025. I would love to be able to show this run off. The run has changed a lot since Maxi Lobes last showed it off at SGDQ 2022. So I would love to be able to show this off in the next upcoming event. But with that, that's going to be the end for me here. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Zochalix, and we will see you guys later. Goodbye.